Hello and welcome. I'm a hotel AI expert, and I'm so pleased to be here with all of you, the students of Europe Hotel School, as you start your online learning journey. You know, it's pretty incredible when you think about it, but most guests are far more likely to return to a hotel that really personalizes their experience. That's not just some passing trend, it's become the new standard of excellence. So let's dive into what is probably the single most powerful skill in modern hospitality, mastering the art of the personalized guest experience.
I want you to really let that sink in. This idea is the foundation for everything we're going to talk about. In today's world, what really separates a good stay from a truly unforgettable one is our ability to make each guest feel like we see them, we understand them, and we value them. It's the difference between just giving someone a room and giving them a genuine sense of belonging.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to unpack why personalization is no longer optional. It's a core expectation. Then we'll get really practical. We'll cover how to capture guest preferences, how to get all your departments working together seamlessly, how to turn a problem into a loyalty win, and finally, how to reach the ultimate goal, the art of anticipation.
Okay, let's get into it. Every single guest who walks through your doors arrives with their own unique world. You know, their habits, their routines, their own personal definition of what comfort feels like. Our goal with personalization isn't just to react when they ask for something. It's to proactively create an environment that feels so in sync with them that their stay becomes completely, totally effortless.
So what this really boils down to is this. We are trying to transform a standard hotel stay into a personal sanctuary. It's about creating that amazing feeling a guest has when they realize, wow, they remember me. They know what I like, they know what makes me comfortable, and they've already taken care of it. That feeling? That's the real heart of hospitality.
All right, so how do we actually make this happen? Well, the entire engine of personalization kicks off right here at the front office. This is where we stop talking about theory and we start taking action, and it all comes down to two foundational skills: sharp observation and rock-solid documentation. This is where you kind of have to become a detective of details. A guest asking for extra pillows isn't just another task to check off a list. They're handing you a clue about how they sleep. Or a guest who always declines housekeeping. They aren't trying to be difficult. They're telling you they have a deep need for privacy. These aren't just one-off requests. They are vital pieces of information. Now, the process itself sounds pretty simple, but let me tell you, it requires discipline. First, you have to actively observe and really listen. Don't just hear the words, listen for the meaning behind them. Second, you have to pull out that key detail that really matters. And third, and this is the most critical step of all, you have to document that information with absolute precision.
And this slide just hits the nail on the head. It shows you the huge difference between having a good intention and actually making an impact. A vague note like, guest is picky, is totally useless. Actually, it's worse than useless. But an actionable note like requests 2 extra firm pillows and a daily towel refresh, that empowers every single person on your team to deliver excellence. This is how a good thought becomes a coordinated, real-world action.
Your property management system, the PMS, should be the central brain for all this guest knowledge. But here's the thing, that brain is only as smart as the information you feed it. You absolutely have to treat it like a living, breathing profile of your guest, and that demands discipline. You've got to record things consistently, update it continuously, and review it regularly before every single arrival. No exceptions.
Okay, so let's see how this all connects. Once you've captured that precise information, the real magic starts to happen when it gets shared. This is where that individual knowledge you gathered at the front desk transforms into a powerful, collective action across the entire hotel. And that's what creates a truly seamless experience for the guest.
You know, housekeeping is so often the first team to turn this data into pure delight. Just imagine for a second, a guest with a known sensitivity to fragrances walks into their room and it's already been prepared with scent-neutral products, without them ever having to say a single word. That kind of proactive, silent service, it creates a huge emotional impact. It makes people feel genuinely cared for. Then you have the food and beverage team adding another critical layer. When a server can greet a returning guest and say, "Welcome back, Mr. Smith. Shall I bring you the sparkling water you enjoyed last time?" It just completely changes the dynamic. The conversation shifts from a simple transaction to a real personal connection. It makes the guest feel like a valued regular, even if it's only their second visit. And hey, you might not always think about it, but even a department like engineering becomes a key player in personalization. Let's say a guest reports a noisy air conditioner. That information has to be tracked. So, before that same guest's next stay, engineering can proactively inspect their new room to make sure it's perfectly quiet. This doesn't just fix a problem, it builds immense trust in your hotel's standards.
But of course, let's be realistic. In the fast-paced world of a hotel, things don't always go perfectly. And that brings us to a really pivotal skill, mastering service recovery. More importantly, it's about learning to see every single problem as a golden opportunity to build unbreakable guest loyalty.
This right here, this is the moment of truth for any hospitality professional. A service failure isn't just a mistake, it's a critical crossroads in your relationship with a guest. And how you choose to respond in this very moment will define their entire perception of your brand long after they've checked out.
Okay, this is a really important point that a lot of people miss. True service recovery doesn't end when the guest says they're happy. It ends when the resolution is documented with the exact same precision as the initial problem was. Why? So the team on the next shift knows what happened. And even more importantly, so it never happens to that guest ever again. You're not just fixing an issue, you're improving your entire system.
So here's the bottom line. Guests often remember the recovery way more vividly than they remember the problem itself. When your team uses that shared information to solve an issue with real empathy and foresight, you do more than just fix a mistake. You show a deep commitment to that guest's well-being, and in doing so, you forge a bond of trust that's often far stronger than if nothing had ever gone wrong in the first place.
All right, now let's pull all of these threads together. When you have meticulous observation, precise documentation, seamless collaboration, and thoughtful service recovery all working in harmony, when they become part of your hotel's DNA, something incredible starts to happen. You evolve from simply reacting to your guests' needs to actively anticipating them.
And this is the ultimate payoff. To the guest, the service feels completely effortless, almost like magic. But we know it's deeply intentional. They feel seen, they feel remembered, and they feel respected. A profound sense of comfort and trust gets built. And it's not just good for the guest. For our teams, operations become smoother and more efficient. A simple hotel stay is transformed into a lasting relationship.
If you remember one thing from our time together today, please let it be this. The greatest luxury you can ever offer a guest isn't a bigger room or a fancier amenity. It is the quiet, consistent, and powerful demonstration that you truly, genuinely understand them. That right there is the absolute pinnacle of hospitality. So as you prepare to become the next leaders in this incredible industry, my question for you is this. What systems will you put in place? What culture will you build to make every single guest who walks to your doors feel uniquely and completely understood? The answer to that question will define your success. Thank you.